Okay, here we go. Welcome everyone to our Wednesday Global Community Coherence call. And we're excited. We have lots to share on this call, and thank you for showing up and being a beautiful mentoring steward here, mentoring this expression of wholeness. And Henry's going to open up just with a short resonance, and then we'll dive right in.
Let's begin by opening to our breath, the miracle of breath that refreshes and renews through the exchange, the inhale, the exhale, and the glory of that, and the intimacy of relationship of the breath with the field as it dances through us, in us. As we open to a deepening of connection with that field, with our individual and joined and collective missions. Here, the good of the whole, bringing ourselves individually into coherence and into coherence with the larger symphony of all of those connected with good of the whole, to find their right places that helps to fulfill, to express and fulfill their unique, each of our unique gifts in harmony with that wholeness. And allowing the breath to take in all of this information in formation for the newness that is seeking to emerge at this time in our hearts, in our minds, consciousness, and in our bodies and each of the cells in our bodies tingling with the light of this newness, returning back to the tapestry of our collective meeting. With the breath and opening our eyes.
Wow, that was infinitely perfect for this call. So thank you, Henry. That was absolutely spot on. I just want to check, welcome everyone who just got on. Hi, Wowza. And who's on 661? If you could unmute yourself and just say hi.
Hi, John Fitzgerald here.
Oh,
good morning.
Yay, perfect. Awesome, welcome. All right. So John, just for your sake, John Brockett and Oriana and Julie and Henry and Wowza and Karen and Grace are here with us. And we're happy to have you. So that was really a perfect introduction to this call today, because as you see, there's a shift of functioning happening here. And as Julie expressed in the email, we are remodeling. And since the retreat where we came together in the embodiment of wholeness and the, really stepping into strategic sacred actioning, this call is actually calling for a shift. And so we're going to share with you what that shift is looking like. And but I want to start with a quote because it really holds a vibrational field of who we are together as mentoring stewards of wholeness, right? So this is from David Bohm, and we are internally related to everything. not just externally related. Consciousness is an internal relationship to the whole. We take in the whole and we act toward the whole. Whatever we have taken in determines basically what we are. Wholeness is a kind of attitude or approach to the whole of life. If we can have a coherent approach to reality, then reality will respond coherently to us. Pretty amazing, huh? Yeah. So welcome to this call. And the other piece I want to just drop in is we have an advisory council of myself, Julie, Glenn and Marion, and Linda. And Linda, I believe, will be here, but she'll be late. And we're going to continually keep that information moving to this Wednesday call. We want to keep integrating and opening and having you feel that connection to what's calling to be expressed. And today we're focusing on two things, and we want to share with you this new template for our Wednesday call, and also the 3 different types of co-creative relationship with good of the whole that's developing. All right. And I want to share something really amazing. I'm in a new space, and actually it turns out that the person who owns the space with his wife is Andrew Hinton, and he is a producer, filmmaker, and there's one of his short films that I want to bring in as an example of really expressing the good of the whole. And I'm really excited that, you know, this is the beauty of the field itself, how it moves us in connection, so that its expression through us and as us can really touch the world and shift and change the world and how we see it. And here specifically focusing on the trajectory of wholeness, because we know that experience and we want other people to have that experience, right? So just taking a breath with that. And so I'll start with the template. But I also want to say that you notice that I'm running this call, and there is a shift of functioning as well. And, you know, Julie and I are really discussing how going forward this will happen. But honestly, you're going to be playing a much more bigger role in participating on this call. So we're just helping to really uphold and hold the embankments of this currency of love that's wanting to come forward. So I think one other thing is, you know, we've had experiences on this call where everyone shares what, you know, is going on for them. And you notice it takes up a long time. And so we're wanting to, if you're willing to work with us, we're going to give you that opportunity for expression, but in a slightly different way, so that we can use this call for greater strategic sacred action. How does that sound? Good? Everyone's nodding their head. Cool. All right. So let me share the 3 parts of this call going forward. And primarily we'll start in November, you know, but next week we'll bring in more of a living model of that. And ultimately, it's really a template for all of our pieces moving forward. And as a generative co-creative in support of one another as co-mentors. So basically, what we've come up with is really breaking up this call into 20-minute segments. And we're going to keep the call at 60 minutes, but we might, as a collective, decide that we want to move it into 90 minutes so that we can really explore the strategic actions as our expressions become really substantiated within good of the whole. So basically, it's broken up to 3 different 20-minute segments. One is the experience state, where we come in and we experience our wholeness. And then we're going to open it up to you as individuals coming together to express what it is that you feel in relationship to the whole that you want to bring forward. You know, we could talk about it as projects, but not really. For some, it may not be a project. It might be just simply an expression of their wholeness, and seeing and asking for support. It could be show up in different ways. So that will be another 20 minutes. Well, each one of you will have that opportunity. And right now, how we're looking at it is just one person a week will bring forward their excitement, their passion, their joy. And that is one of the things that has really become a focal point for us in the Administration Council, which is this is an expression. Good of the whole is an expression of our joy in service of the whole. So really wanting to hold that frequency with you. And the rest of us will be engaging. And then the last part of the call will be what we're calling the embodiment, engagement, and integration stage, where everyone gets to share and see what's popping from what you're bringing forth. So just take a breath with that. Really pretty simple, but giving us an opportunity to come into coherence, giving each person, this is the co-mentoring piece that we feel that people have really wanted to bring forth, their excitement. And then lastly, just this level of integration so that we all leave uplifted and kind of feeling how the field is wanting to move through us and as us. So let's, Julie, I just want to just check in. Is there anything that you would like to add about that?
Thanks, Shelley. That was lovely. When I hear you talking about that middle stage of the expression piece and that it's not necessarily a project, it really is the expression piece is that individual cell within the organism doing its thing. And so it might be an expression of your wisdom, your expertise, your knowledge, your skills. It may be the expression of what's happening. For example, Henry just came back from Damanhur again, and it might be, I want you to know what they're doing at Damanhur right now, and I want to share this piece, and I want to let you know. So that it really is the individual cells bringing in to the central nervous system the information so that we can also be informed, go back out into the world to share in that reciprocity place. So others, it might be like if I'm working on a specific project, I may need mutual support and want to bring that forward. I may be wanting to co-create, like the Pachamama pajamas that have come through, that we need some co-creation time. And so that comes into that middle expression piece. So I just wanted to add that, Shelley, that it really is about you and your fullest expression as an individual cell or whole within the whole organization. So it is about living for the good of the whole. It is about the organism. It is about what's going on in our own communities. It's all of the above, but it's what expression's moving through you. Thanks, Shell.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. And also, so there is a key little piece to this. So we're asking you if you feel inspired, and you might be jumping excited right this minute, or you might find it in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so this is an ongoing opportunity. But what we're asking is that you send an email to me with the theme of what you're wanting to do and a little paragraph or a couple of sentences so that we have a sense and we can also introduce you as well, so that we can all stay in coherence. So that's an important part of that you can just Shelley at Good of the Whole, and I'll take that, and then we'll let each one of you know what week you have, and also you would want to write what weeks you're available, so that because this is going to be an ongoing expression. So yeah, go ahead, Jill.
I just wanted to say, and think of it as co-mentoring. What does the energy of that word really hold? Co-mentoring. Because we don't want it to just be, I'm going to come in and teach, or I'm going to come in and inform in a way that's disconnected from that. It really is holding that energy of co-mentoring. We're all about really bringing whole systems health and healing for the good of the whole in our communities, in our planet, individually. So we're holding that vibrational frequency of co-mentoring. Thanks, Shel.
Also on that note, it might be that, and I think this is actually going to come right into the next piece, but we're going to open it up to everyone just to have a little bit of a share here. What was I going to say? We forgot. I can't remember. We'll let it go. So with that, let's just, oh, I know what I was going to say. So the next piece that we'll bring in has more to do with the community and bringing in, if you are someone who wants to teach and wants to educate as part of the evolutionary core that we've been talking about the leadership program or whatever's coming forth, that's in its working right now. That's where you'll be able to have the opportunity as mentoring stewards as we move forward. And I would say really into 2020, as this piece develops, then yeah, we would incorporate you in that piece if that's your joy and excitement. So thank you, Julie, for bringing that forward. And let's just open it up right now and just see what's murmuring in the field just from this shift, because we want your voices in here. And if there's something that's even coming up in terms of suggestions, we'll take that in as well.
Okay, I'll start. So I'm pretty familiar with remodeling on the physical level and actual residence and so forth. And so we are definitely, at my senses, in a remodeling stage, which is beautiful. And what happens in that is what is present and current is exquisite, and yet there's this longing to bring into more fullness the organism, and I feel as though I've only a little bit less than a year I've been involved with GOtW, and I feel like I've been a little bit selfish with that. I tune in because I love being in the resonant field with other conscious, aware people. And so in the remodeling phase, I don't want to say I want to take it on as a job. It's not a job, but it's a passion that I really believe that GOtW, even the term, even the organization, as I begin to put this out into the world, has very broad scope and very broad capacity to shift things on the planet. Now that may sound grandiose, but at this moment, so how I want to be part of remodeling is I know the phases of it. First of all, here's what we have, and I have this fantasy of what I'd like to have this look like. And then in order to get there, there has to be this teardown phase, this demolition is what we call it in this industry that I'm in, which means you go back down to some of the bare bones, and your fantasy changes at that moment because all of the trappings of what has been disintegrate enough so that then I'm looking at bare walls. I'm looking at all of the flooring and the tile and everything is now gone, and yet the basic core resonant field shows itself in a way without labels on it, and then the passion, the resonant from all of us, we get to put it back together in a way that the resonant field is saying, aha, here's how it comes together in order to bring this message through to others. And I feel like I can't wait to hear everybody's contribution toward that, including my own. And when we do that, then I've already visioned this thing that is going to be as magnificent as it is. It's going to get even more magnificent. And so from that point of view, we are remodeling, and I think that's a beautiful metaphor for what we're doing. And like I said, I don't want to make this a job, but we have an opportunity. I have an opportunity here to devote my connection and energy with the resonant field for the good of the whole. And I've never had an occupation. Yes, every occupation has some of that, but this is a lasered in dedication of time and energy that is going to profit in a way that I think is going to be amazing, because it is the flow of the universe itself, and we're dedicated to that. So I can't wait to hear everyone's and co-mentor with each one of you, and have each one of you co-mentor with me, because I trust that as we pose the questions, the answers are not limited then, because we're being informed by the field. And so I'll stop right there for right now, but I don't even know if there was a question I was answering, but that's just what came through. Thank you.
It was beautiful, John. Thank you. Just wanted to, what do I want to say? I just lost it. So one thing that this is coherent, but I see good of the whole and most any as not just an organism. I think we idealize the organism. It's also an organization. And so it's kind of owning that part of how decisions are made, how things are organized to co-create in the way that is most resilient, in the way that offers the spark, the individual creativity within each person. And one thing that comes to mind for me, instead of or in addition to one person being focalized at a meeting here, I see something like a newsletter as a way that we each put our individual expressions, our individual passions, what is alive in us into there. And in so doing, we are mentoring because we're expressing our unique, the mentoring part comes from each individual expression. And we learn because we're part of this joint field. And in community, kind of relating to Dom and her, it's a place where we can grow more fully. And also on one of the books that I picked up that I was at Dom and her, it's The Many Faces of the Crystal of Dom and her, How to Create Community and Have More Life in the Universe. So one thing that they chose to put on the back, the quotation is, only nations make the mistake of stability at all costs. Communities must live in change to be able to evolve. So within organizations, within organisms, they can become static because there is a certain stability or ways. And in order to evolve, to grow into what we may be getting a fuller sense of, that expresses, that invites, that the fuller expression, which was part of the initial kind of description of good of the whole from last year, was taken out because fullest expression is also a product of free will. And so our individual fullest expression must come from our individual free wills. So anyway, some way of each of us being able to put the new ideas that are emerging, the new awakenings there, such as a newsletter or maybe resonance radio, but that won't involve all of us, a newsletter kind of thing involve people. So it's partly understanding, because that needs some kind of an organization. It's not just an organism, of how we, what we invite, how we put it together, and what inquiries or ways that we may help to elicit that fuller expression. So I feel complete for now.
So I just want to jump in here. So thank you, Henry, because this is your perfect example of the organization that is self-organizing. And this is exactly what will happen more and more. So Henry comes forward, and so we've been talking about this, Julie and I, for ever since Love Lives Here, and the reality is we have to get an admin director to get this, to take it to the next step, because neither one of us. But the beauty is, like, Henry's fullest expression and joy and inspiration is like Henry will be part of that, cooperative voice, helping to, be part of that inflow, that information coming in and creating that. So thank you. And that's beautiful. You're a total great example of that. Yeah. And John, as well as what you were saying, this is what's happening here. And that's, we are in the aliveness of the organism itself right here, right now. That's so cool. So thank you. And we'll take note of that, and we will get back to you on that one. And you can start it now, and we'll just build the field. And that admin is coming. Thanks. Anyone else feeling like they want to jump in? Anything to say? Anything popping? Or this is not a forced go around the circle kind of thing. This is just.
So I'll just add just a little bit before you shift gears again, because I think it's beautiful following John and Henry in that that to become an organization of a nonprofit, we've created that structure. It's kind of like part of the house has the foundation and the studs and the walls, and we're not even using the house. And then the part that we're looking at, how do we make this flow now? And so the part of the organization of being a nonprofit, and the structure that was submitted with all the documents, is to create, just like Henry's saying, yes, a newsletter, and we've been going, yes, yes, yes. Now, how do we support it? Who's going to do it? And what have you? There's also many different layers and levels. I shouldn't say layers and levels. There's layers and levels of engagement. And Shelley's going to talk about that more. But part of the document, we've created volunteers that are really leading up a lot of the different functions within the organization. I'm going to start saying that, Henry, because part of me is being called to organize and ground some pieces. So I'm going to say that we are a living system, and we are an organization, a nonprofit, 501c3, and now we're looking at fundraising and hiring. So I just want to say, yes, if there's anyone that wants to be part of the leadership team, we have a structure of a board and advisory council and the wisdom council and the volunteer council. Like, we have the structure that I can share later at another time. So yes, if there are other things that you're really wanting to get involved with, you love Resonance, you want to see Resonance Radio, you love writing for the newsletter. We asked this on the call several months ago. It was like early 2019, and many went, yes, I'll write for the newsletter. So we could go back and get that list too. But so there are different functions where people could step in and really come into their own fullest expression. So that, and then I just want to say, since the fires have been catalyzed at the retreat, I'm just going to say this out loud. I this woman that lives in my small little community came into my consciousness and my awareness, and I started talking about her with my husband, and like, I'm wondering about her. And he said, oh, she took a new job. And I'm like, she took a new job? And this woman I'm going to meet with Monday is this incredible gifts and experience and skills and expertise. And so number one, it's exciting because she's local, but number two, she's coached entrepreneurs and small businesses and nonprofits and helped fund them and helped raise funds. And now she's working for a community foundation, a statewide community foundation. So she has tons of expertise. So not only are we bringing this forward to you, but it's like there's ways that we're all gonna be fully supported as we're moving to these next levels. It really feels exciting, and I love that fire that's burning. I can't wait to talk to her. She's already sending me links and look at this, and she's heading to India. And if any of you are on my daily dose of soul care, she's gonna go see the living bridges. And I posted some photos of the living bridges in Northeast India. Oh my gosh, she's an amazing woman. So I'm excited about that, and it's really nice to feel like we're all going to be uplifted and supported in this remodeling process. So thanks, Shelley. I'm complete.
Anybody else being tickled? Anything moving? Oh, Wowza, is that you? Okay. All right. So as you muse with this and as ideas pop, you can send an email. And at this point, really asking that you send me the emails, so Shelley at Good of the Whole, to allow the freedom of this expression to expand in other ways with Julie and the admin team. So thank you. Okay, so.
I just quickly, one addition or maybe an example for the advisory, I've got the other board, to make them for a certain time, let's say a year. And so that it keeps getting renewed, it doesn't get static. That people who are drawn to participate in their, so it already gets refreshed, and the energy has movement and aliveness.
Thank you, Henry. Something comes to mind in regards to that, and I wanted to share it. So part of it is that these are the ones who've come forward willing to commit to showing up every single week. So if you're feeling that this is something that you are passionate about and you want to be part of that advisory council right now, it's really, you have to speak up and let us know, because it is a commitment. We are meeting every single week. So, and now Julie and I are talking about even meeting, more than 3 times a week. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing is really important, and I actually want to express this as I was listening to you, Henry. My experience of the resonant field is that it does not get static. I think that is coming from an old concept or an experience, obviously, beautifully said, totally. And my experience is that if you're in the living expression of the field itself, you are in that living movement. And yes, we have to keep course correcting and moving and phasing with it. And so that's an amazing idea. And I just want to bring that piece in, because that's the beauty. That's how all of a sudden here I am, and it's not Julie. And, we're trusting, and we're being, part of that resonant field is being transparent. So we're inviting each one of you here, please email, call, hey, there's something moving here, because we are part of this organism. And as Julie was saying, okay, now it took us a year or more to come to decide that we're going to move this through a nonprofit, which means that, yeah, it's true. We are an organization, which is a shift for even myself to consider. So thank you for sharing that. And we will take that into, into our communications. Thank you. Because it's also, will flow back what's happening here into the advisory council. So thanks. Yeah, this is amazing. Okay, so something has become really clear. And part of that is that, and you may even have pieces that you want to share about this too, we'll open it up. So there are 3 types of co-creative relationship with good of the whole. And there's actually a little 4th one, but I think it's maybe separate. It may not be part of that, and we're working with that. So 3 different types of co-creative relationship with good of the whole. And I think before I say what they actually are, I want to share an example. And primarily it came to me last night, and it came through this short film that you'd be happy. So Andrew Hinton is the producer and filmmaker, and it's called Banking on Change. And a little story for you. So just take a breath and ground your energy. So, and it's really funny how we're talking. Julie was just talking about India. So he did this film. It was done in India, and basically 2/3 of India's population of 1 billion people live in the nation's 600,000 villages. And despite India's economic growth, and this was done actually 9 years ago, but it's very poignant for where we're going today. The disparities between wealth and poverty were enormous and still are enormous. And a lot of the villagers are migrating into the cities trying to, desperately work and make money, and they end up begging on the streets because the system isn't working. And we know it, just as John was describing, the disintegration of the old ways. It's not working. So this one banker, and he never told the people that he was actually the bank manager. His name is Parthiban, sets out to do something to help the economic circumstances. And he goes and he leaves the city, and he goes out to these communities and encourages these beggars to open bank accounts in New Delhi, and he begins pioneering microloans. So we know about, probably many of you know about microloans. Really the consciousness of good of the whole. And so I just pulled out a quote. It's a beautiful little story of how he does this and how he gains the trust of these people, and how the people people who have absolutely no money, but have ideas, have that feeling of that, as John was, expressing this vocational arousal, right? They feel it, and he supports that. And so what he says is to me, it was the essence of good of the whole, and really the 3rd leg of the stool, which we'll be talking about. When you begin, this is what he said in the movie, when you begin a new venture, don't think only of yourself and your family. It should benefit the entire community, the village, the entire surroundings. I encourage more group lending because it binds them together, and they take pride when the project is successful. The whole village celebrates. I feel individual growth is important, but more than that, the entire village, the entire area is much more important. I do suppose they go hand in hand. What's been happening is there has been an increasing number of oneness of mind and oneness of spirit. You can talk about global economic or final crisis, or the need to bring about drastic change in the system, but the importance is cultivating people. If you do that, everything falls into the right place. So just taking a breath with that, because that to me is like, here we are with good of the whole. And what is our vision and mission? Where every individual feels connected, valued, and whole. And that we are here cultivating this ethos of wholeness, because we know when people experience that, something shifts for them, just as it has for each one of us. And so in speaking to these 3 different legs, 3 different types of co-creative relationship, and even in bringing forth your personal expression, we want to keep this in mind. Then we're all in this sort of this undulating phase link together. And like that change that John was talking about, is absolutely, there is no doubt in the field. There is no separation. It is going to happen, and we are going to cultivate a change that is lasting for each person. So watch that little flick. I'll send out the link. He also did one called Tashi and the Monk. And that is another example of a monk who was working with the Dalai Lama and decided that he had to leave all of it and go back to Tibet. And he created a school for all the unwanted children. So I'm really excited to have a chance to be with Andrew, because obviously he holds the essence of good of the whole, and we'll see what happens with him. So the 3 different types of co-creative relationship. Number 1, you are a mentoring steward, or it could actually be somebody else. And you, as it's more of your individual project and expression, and you want to hold it up to everyone. But you want to be mutually supported by, you want to, the way that it would work is you come up with an idea or project, and we can mutually support you, but it's you individually. Hey, Julie, that's your, maybe you don't put yourself on mute. Individually, you want to, you're going to give a donation. So like I said before, if you give you make $100,000, you're excited, or you have this other idea, and you're going to give, you love good of the whole, you get it, and you want to give a donation, right? That's an individual expression of good of the whole that we can hold here for you, but you're going to give a separate donation. It's not necessarily, the next one and the next 2 expressions.
Or you may never give a donation.
Or you may never give a donation. That's true. Really? Okay. All right.
But your work is a donation.
Your work is a donation. Thank you, Henry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not about the money in this circumstance. Okay. It's really about the beautiful work, creating the conditions for all of this to go forward in the planet, right? Supported.
Okay. We're developing it as we speak. Great. Thank you. Number 2, second way, is where you're partnering with good of the whole in a more of a contractual arrangement, and you're running your expression through the nonprofit. You see that, you have this amazing idea. As an example, Glenn has this incredible idea about housing, and it needs to go through a nonprofit. He wants it to go through, but rather than creating a nonprofit himself, he sees that it's for good of the whole, and he wants to do it through good of the whole. So as an example, that's something that we're looking at right now. So it's I have this project, I want to work with good of the whole, it's mutually nourishing, and then good of the whole, you'd be remunerated from good of the whole. So it's a mutually nourishing experience together. Julie, you want to say anything?
Yeah, and that is like 2 whole partners partnering and working together, and again, that it's contractual, so the remuneration will be set out at the beginning, and Glenn is exploring it. Glenn would love that, and we're not sure if it fits yet or not, and that's part of how this co-creative partnering works. Is his will be huge. Let's just say gazillions of dollars and gazillions of people. Was that the word I was using at the retreat? Gazillions? It was, wasn't it? So it would be a huge thing, but it could also be a really small thing too. So that's just a level of engagement that is contractual. Thanks, Shel.
Yeah. Okay. And the 3rd leg is where you have this idea, and this is where we're sitting with Pachamama pajamas, where you're giving it fully to good of the whole. Good of the whole is co-creating with you, and you're inviting all of us to co-create with you, and it's like it's being co-produced and sponsored by good of the whole. It's generated by good of the whole, and you would be the mentoring steward stewarding it. And it's like, I have this amazing idea. I know it's for good of the whole. It's not mine, and I want this to be a good of the whole expression or project that we're all taking on. So just going back through the three of them so that you can feel that. One is the being a mentoring steward. As a representative, you have an idea or a project, you're holding it up and want to be mutually supported. And Good of the Coal is creating the conditions to help make that happen. Number two would be more of a contractual agreement. You're partnering through the nonprofit. And then there's the remuneration, I can't even say that word anymore, for bringing this project forward. And the third one is to just completely give it to Good of the Whole. I have this amazing, exactly how Love Lives Here was birthed. You know, Shanti Hart came up with an idea. We were sitting in a circle. It was like, she popped it. Everyone went, oh my God, that's incredible. And Good of the Whole took that on, and it's been going ever since. So there is one other piece that I'm not going to get into at this point that could be a fourth leg, but it's more about the education piece. So it's more like, I am a teacher. I feel like I have this offering for Good of the Whole, and that would be incorporated, as Juliet said, more in the leadership program coming forth, but not necessarily just a part of this three-braided expression. So with that, let's open it up. We have about 10 more minutes, and we'll take about 8 of those minutes to just open it up to the field. How does that feel to you? And do you have questions for us? And we might be able to answer them, and we might have to bring it back to you. So
I just want to clarify and drop in one more refining and remodeling piece, is that Shelley's using the money because it's just a way that we're getting really clear to how to function within the organization. And what we all know really, that this is an exchange of energy and resources that we're all helping to really create those conditions for the good of the whole. And that when Shelley says you give it completely to good of the whole, we know that there is really no separation, right? So like Love Lives Here came through, it really wasn't, Shanti Hart named it. Good of the Whole was already working on a 40-day program. And well, Julie had a 40-day program. And I said, you know what, Good of the Whole should be doing this 40-day program. So Julie brought it into Good of the Whole, and Good of the Whole said, yeah, let's do that. But that sounds like a lot of work. And then Shanti Hart brought in Love Lives Here, and it made sense. And it all wove together. So this really is about energy, resources, wisdom, knowledge. Really, how are we cultivating the conditions for this leadership of creating whole systems health for the good of the whole, for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for the planet. So we're doing that in myriad expressions. And when we're doing it in myriad expressions, everybody's like, I don't know what good of the whole is. There's so much going on. So what Shelley is helping to do now is to bring this into form so people can go, oh, I get it. And I see how I fit in. Or I get it and I know how to play. Or I get it and I have another idea and I want to expand it even more. So thank you, Shelley, for bringing that down into simple forms. It's been very, 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 very large and etheric and cosmic and a huge template for a very long time. And these are ways of bringing that into form. So it's not just money. Money can be a trigger point. It really is our energy and our resources and our time of really co-mentoring, co-sharing, and co-creating those conditions for this fullest expression to come forward. So with that, I'm complete.
So I see where I could play in all 4 of these areas. I bring an idea forth or a passion forth, but I'm not exactly sure which one of those would best fit. Where would I bring that? Would I bring it to this group? Would I bring it to the advisory group? Where would I bring that to get some clarification of what would best fit?
So that's a beautiful question. I think each person has to, I'll just using you as an example. If you're feeling that passionate, you're going to consider possibly being part of the advisory council. Are you willing to give that time to it, to grow it? That's one possibility. I think this call is bringing out those passions, is opening the doorway, opening the portal. But if you have something really specific, or even like Henry, the newsletter, boink, then, and because the Wisdom Council isn't completely developed yet, we are looking at it. So you would want to talk to, Julie can respond too. You'd want to talk to Julie and I when we're getting more specific at this point, not because it can't happen here, but because it's going to take up a lot more time. And then we would report it back into the collective here. Henry's so excited, and he wants to be the governor. He wants to be the head of the newsletter. He's feeling that passion. He wants to give that time to it. Or maybe it's just Henry wants to be part of bringing his expression forth, and we'll do a little bit more. So these are the pieces this is the volunteer piece that we have to look at and see how it fits in. So I hope that explains it. But if you have something really, definitive, then then we can support the channeling of that. Does that make sense, Julie?
Yeah, let me add just a little bit. So John, imagine Shelley's the construction manager right now, and I'm the designer, and the house is being deconstructed. So bring that into the construction manager, and we might have to put it in this room that's already, we're going to remodel our kitchen at the lake. Yay, not remodel. We're just doing a little countertop thing and an island thing, but it will get deconstructed and what have you. So it might go in one of those rooms for now and be held in a different place until the rest is continues to be in progress and process and be finished. So imagine Shelley as the construction manager, and I'm one of the designers, and you could of course bring that to anybody. You could take it to Glenn or Marion or Linda as well. But yeah, and I see some of you on our advisory council and stepping up in different roles and doing different things and sharing your gifts in lots of different ways. So, and I also anticipate that what you're hearing with these 3 strands of engagement, that's just a different level of people who have already said, hey, I got this project, I really want to move forward. But we will also have this beautiful community that's holding all of it. That's, I have this beautiful woman who crochets prayer mantles, and they're literally these beautiful shawls that she makes. And she sits in the background and she prays for the people and she holds them. And then she's like, hey, you got anything special going on? And she just sits back and holds. I just imagine her in her rocking chair in her garden. And then she puts these amazing crystals and stones and all these magical things on each of these shawls, and then sends them out with beautiful dried flowers and what have you. She's holding the field for this incredible love that wants to be expressed in different ways. And we'll have that community too. So Shelley's giving you 3 levels of engagement for that. What she said isn't really projects, but it feels project-y. But we're just trying to sort that so people have a clarity when it comes to the black and white structure of what's coming through for people. So don't panic if you don't have a project. That's not what this is about. So, okay.
I know Oriana has to go, so I'm just waving her goodbye, and we'll just finish this call. So I want to also say, as an example, you may have, Henry is I'm just using Henry as an example right now, but Henry is inspired about the newsletter. So Henry, you might be sort of create a council of your own. Like last week, John brought up something, and all of a sudden Sharon Hardy went, oh my God, I want to do that. I'm doing that with you. So little by little, this will self-organize into, we see moving forward, groups of 12, expanding into groups of 12, expanding into groups of 12. But for right now, this is a self-organizing system. This is the beauty of an organism, is that you may be the liver, you might be the heart, you might be and so you might say, Henry, I heard Henry talking. Henry, I want to communicate with you. And so just so you remember, everybody has each other's numbers and names and emails. Just find that communication, or again, you can communicate with me and we can help set it up. But I think that continuing breathing with the organism and getting that sense of clarity, this is going to happen naturally, right? And if you do already know, wow, I want to be part of that advisory council to help really take Good of the Whole forward, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a once a week. You have to show up once a week at this point, and because in 2020 we are doing the fundraising, we are going to bring in that money for an administrative council, even the very first of the year. We want to do that. So and that is that we get into money issues and communications if that's something that you feel really inspired to help. And I know John is already feeling that, and so everyone will find their space. So with that, we have welcome Linda. You'll have to watch the replay because it's been an incredible call and we've shared quite a bit. But let's just all take a breath together. Oh, Karen, you want to jump in? We have 1 minute because we're really going to hold this, and we may need to make this call longer. And you will have a chance to speak next week too. We'll just continue.
I've just been wanting to jump in to make sure. I appreciate that you're working toward clarity. I like the ideas that you come in with. In your phases, to me it sounds like tithing. First level sounds like tithing. It's an old term, but used all the time at Unity, tithing of time, talent, and treasure. It was even a class. So it's not always, like Julie was saying, it doesn't always have to be treasure, but it can be time and talent. And then the second phase you talked about with the people bringing projects of their own. Well, we call that fiscal sponsor of being a fiscal agent for somebody else, a nonprofit. And I was going to bring that up last week. That's another way nonprofits of like-mindedness can help others and profit as well, depending, contractually. And then the other one just sounds like gifting to me. When you bring the idea and everybody there, and it becomes part of that group's ability to move forward.
Yay.
I liked, I'm looking so forward to getting more clarity and definition of the different councils, and I understand this is in construction mode, and this is a really awesome time to be here, because not only do I hopefully find a niche where I can be of some service, but it's also an education for me, because I also have to create organizational organisms. Remember, your cells in your body organize, so we wouldn't be in these forms. So to see what form it can take. So this is really awesome. I'm very grateful to be included right now and be here at this time. I think this is exactly what most organizations need right now, because as John said, I think a lot of times you do become static and stuck in these old ways. And I do have a tool that might be able to help with this, and I would love to talk with you, Julie or Shelley, about.
We're going to set up a call. Yeah, I felt you this morning.
Okay. All right. Well, that was all I had to say. And so these are old systems, but hopefully the ones, they're the kind of old systems that have been helping for a long time in a positive way on the planet and aren't used enough. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to share just quickly that for the individual initiatives, it feels really helpful to write down a statement of purpose, a mission statement, something, and also underlying guidelines or principles for what you're wanting to create. And that will help you, but also including in that how it will benefit the whole community, or keeping that in mind from the quote that you read, Shelley. But really getting clear on what the mission is, what getting statements of that may help to start to bring clarity. So that's it.
Thank you. Whew. Let's take a breath. So the beauty is that we come together in resonance, in being co-mentored. So the number one co-mentor is the field itself, and that changes everything. And that's why it will never, ever be static. And if we do get caught in that, all it takes is another breath. So the invitation here is just, let's just take a few moments and before we close, and just be within that frequency, that home frequency, in gratitude and love for how this is showing up. Who you be within the organism, the cell that you are, the gift that you are, in relationship to how that cell within you, within the whole, in service to the whole, wants to express itself and engage with others. I'm just grateful to the community of this beautiful community that's willing to be at the edge of the unknown, because that's really the magnificent. That's the place where the magic happens, where we can just stand at the edge of the unknown in love and really be informed within that reciprocity of love, light, energy as it manifests for everyone, for the good of the whole. So thank you everyone for showing up. We'll see you here next week. I think next week we'll just gonna like continue this a little bit. And we'll see if there's one situation that wants to come forward. And then starting November. So be thinking like, and add in that piece that Henry was inviting us, you know, in your email to me if you feel ready and you want to be, you know, in November want to be part of that, be one of the ones to share. Please send me something, and Shelley Good of the Whole. And if anything pops up or any ideas or suggestions, just send an email to myself, and Julie and I will be communicating, and we'll build this field together. So thank you so much. Love you all. See you next week, and see you on the resonance call. That's the place we're just building this field of resonance and love. Bye for
Looking
now.
forward to the recording. Thanks. Bye.